21 April 2024, and today I'm joined by the ZEFFA President. As usual, on a Sunday, we discuss various topics related to the ultimatum, the dialogue ultimatum given by ZEFFA to both President of Zimbabwe, Idi Mnangagwa, and former CCC President, Nelson Chamisa. How are you, President?
I am super involved, Gambakwe. How is everything?
Yeah, everything is fantastic, President. And let's quickly go through our topic. This week, we have seen, as you predicted, a dramatic collapse of the ZIG. Can you give us your thoughts on what is happening?
Thank you, Gambakwe, and I would love to thank the viewers that are here today. The issue, Gambakwe, as I told you, there is a deficit of trust. Without trust, trust is the currency. The paper that we use as a medium of exchange, it's useless without trust. And it's useless without the masses endorsing that paper. You might say it's gold by heavens or by gold or by diamonds. As long as you do not have trust within the community, it will not work. What is needed as we speak, Mushavanu, he was supposed to print money, put it here, and take the gold, put it here next to each other, and show the world that he has enough gold and he has enough paper money that he has printed that is corresponding the gold that he has and the money. Then he was supposed to take his time, 6 months to 8 months, introducing the currency, in educating the masses on what is important to switch from RTGS to this gold-backed currency. Educating the masses on they are not going to lose their money within the process of switching from RTGS to ZIG. It's a brilliant idea to have a currency that is gold-backed. But now the deficit of trust between the government and the people, it's too huge. They haven't paid that. They haven't had a dialogue with the people. They haven't had dialogue with regarding the previous elections. So the deficit keeps on growing. No one is paying that debt, the debt of trust. Gambakwe, I will never trust you if you have tricked me before and you come up with a brilliant idea now. I will never trust you. That's what the government of Zimbabwe is doing. They come up with a brilliant idea, but they're forgetting that they have a debt to pay, the debt of trust. It has to be paid.
Okay, now let's look at how the Zimbabwean government has responded. They've arrested hundreds of people yesterday. They've also closed and suspended multiple bank accounts. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe has suspended multiple bank accounts and frozen funds. Is that the right approach? What needs to be done now?
They are just making it worse. So now, once you start doing that, Gambakwe, how about the international? What about the international society? How are they going to react? You're blocking your way. They are throwing stones in their way. The only way to solve this issue is a dialogue. You need to call Chamisa to the table, the former CC president. You need to call the fragments of CC to the table. And you need to call each and everyone who was on that ballot paper to the table. You discuss this issue. You discuss the elections issue before you discuss the money. The money is trust, the paper money. Remember, we were using the fiat currency. We were using trust, the faith in us to use that paper. So it worked with faith. Now, why is it not working with gold? It's because of trust, the deficit of trust. Call everyone to the table, discuss the previous elections, then we talk about money. The money issue, it's a small problem, but it can only be solved by a dialogue, discussing the previous elections and involving everyone. We need to find each other, Gambakwe, a national unity. The independence that was discussed, or that they had discussed during the liberation struggle of Zimbabwe, it's not the independence that we have today. Remember, Josiah Magamba Tongogara, on a clip that we found, he says he has dreamt of a Zimbabwe where everyone is happy, where a black kid and a white kid playing together, where everyone is allowed, where there is diversity, where there is different ideas on the table. In our difference, we need to come together and find a solution. Without finding each other, we don't have money. You can back it with God, we can back it with Jesus, you can back it with so many things, but it will not work because you have the deficit of trust between the government and the people. And you can arrest the whole country, but it will not work. Why? Because of trust. We have used the currency. All these currencies, they were fiat currencies. We have used our faith, but it worked with faith. The US dollar is working based on faith. So why our ZIG backed with gold is not working? Because there is no trust between the government and the people. You need to pay that debt. If you don't pay that debt, you don't have the currency. The currency is between me and you trusting each other. That's the currency.
Okay, let's see now what the government is trying to do, Mnangagwa's government. You saw all the CCC MPs went to the independence celebrations in Marambinda. Is that what you're talking about? What is happening there?
Okay, Gambakwe, people need to understand this. The government of Mnangagwa need to understand something. You don't pay people to come to the independence and you say, I had a dialogue. It has to be legit. It has to come from the people. It has to come from me, myself, that I feel that I am valued within the country. I am valued within the ranks of Zimbabwe, within the society of Zimbabwe. So it is a mandate for me to go to the independence. But if I feel that I'm not welcomed on the table, why would I come? And why would I call it a dialogue? Why would I call that it is legit for Welshman Nube to attend the independence? It does not make sense to me, whereby people are getting jailed for money and you say the CCC MPs have attended the rally. It does not make sense. It has to come from the people themselves that, you know what, we feel that we had an independence, we have independence, we have a freedom of choice, we have a freedom of assembly, we have a freedom of speech, the one that the ZANU-PF they claim to have fought for. We have it. But now I don't feel like I have my freedom. So why would I say people were paid to go to independence and I call it legit? There's no legitimacy there, Gambakwe. It's a bogus act. It's like we are watching a movie whereby we don't know how is it going to end. That's the government of Zimbabwe as you speak. It's like we're watching Tom and Jerry. Jerry in the front and Tom running after him.
I agree with you. There's a lot of unhappiness among the people about the decision of the CCC MPs to go to Marambinda. What do you suggest then? Let's tie it together. Your call for dialogue and what's happening. What should all the parties do right now?
So now, the first step is us, the people that are on the left, the oppositions, we call it the left. Everyone on the left, let's have the dialogue before we call ZANU-PF to the table. Because what I've understood through time is us on the left, we don't have the same agenda. I might have a brilliant agenda, but the next person from me, he's playing politics of stomach. They are playing politics with an angle, with an aim to gain something. Some of us, we are fighting for the freedom of Zimbabwe, the freedom of the people of Zimbabwe and the generations to come. But some of the people are fighting for their stomach and they are doing politics just to satisfy their ego. So before we call for a dialogue with ZANU-PF, we need a dialogue amongst the people on the left, amongst all opposition parties. We discuss what exactly do we want. Do we want a Zimbabwe whereby we get bribed? If I get bribed and if I'm okay with going and emerge with ZANU-PF or work with ZANU-PF, do we want a Zimbabwe whereby we respect ZANU-PF, we respect CCC, we respect MDC, we respect ZEFFA? And with our differences, we come together and work towards a better Zimbabwe and a prosperous Zimbabwe. Which Zimbabwe do we want? So that question, as oppositions, we need to first answer that question on our own. When we find an answer of a Zimbabwe that we want, then we call ZANU-PF, we call them to the table and tell them the Zimbabwe that we want. So we cannot talk about a dialogue without us knowing what we want. That's the first thing. So
Okay,
we can't
so
have a
I'm
dialogue
agreed.
that
I'm
gets
agreed with that.
votes
It's
everywhere.
very clear. It's very clear what you're saying, President. That the dialogue must start on the opposition side. So let's talk about the National Transitional Authority. This is what Nelson Chamisa wants. He wants a dialogue which leads to National Transitional Authority. Are you agreed with that?
The National Transitional Authority, Zimbabwe, you don't pick and choose who to have a transitional government with. Okay, this is the government of Zimbabwe we are talking about, which involves 15 million people. Let's have a referendum first. People, let them choose. Let the people choose who to sit on the table. Let the people be the advocates of their own independence. Let them determine who to sit on the table. We cannot just say we are having a transitional government whereby ZANU-PF chooses, pick and choose who to sit on the table, who to be involved in that transitional government. A transitional government is talking about an authority, an higher authority that governs the country in a gutaruzhinji. So how can we have a transitional government without the mandate that is coming from the people? We need a mandate from the people. The people are the judges and the people are the employees of that transitional government. So why do we have a transitional government that does not include the people, the bosses? The people are the bosses. Let the bosses employ whoever they want to be in that transitional government. The people
Okay, so you're
are the
saying,
bosses.
okay, let me understand, President. You're saying the dialogue should lead to a referendum, which will then decide how to proceed.
Yes, the people are the bosses. Remember, Zimbabwe consists of 15 million people, which are the bosses of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is a trust fund which has 15 million kids on it. So these 15 million kids on a trust fund, they are the beneficiaries. They benefit from that country called Zimbabwe. This check called Zimbabwe has to be divided amongst 15 million people. So each and every person has a voice to that trust fund. So the dialogue has to lead to a referendum, and the referendum that leads to a transitional government. Let the people choose who is to be on that in that transitional government. The people are the bosses, and they are the ones who are suffering. So let them
Okay,
decide.
I agree, President, and thank you very much for coming here today. Is there anything else you want to say before we close?
What I can say for now is Zimbabwe is a trust fund with 15 million kids, and these kids are suffering. And they are, I can say they are being held hostage both by opposition and the ruling party. The only thing that we need at the moment is a sense of unity, a sense of independence. Let's go back to the mandate of the guerrillas, the Zanla forces and the Zipra forces, those who fought for us to be black, those who fought for us to have this country called Zimbabwe. I cannot call it independent at the moment. I can only say the country called Zimbabwe to be in our hands. Let everyone has that mandate, the mandate to free everyone, be it politically, socially, and economically. The first step is to have a sense of unity, a sense of being Zimbabwe, a sense of being black. They have fought for black domination and they have fought for white domination. Where we are now is us to find each other and let the kids, 15 million kids, determine the freedom they want. The freedom that was fought for by the Zandla forces and the Zipra forces. That's all I can say for now.
Thank you very much, President, and I'll talk to you again next week, and thank you very much to all our viewers.